Compliance and Regulation. About this module. Welcome to the Compliance and Regulation module. In this module, you'll learn the importance of compliance with regulatory standards and how safeguarding sensitive data is paramount for organizations. You'll gain a comprehensive understanding of compliance standards, policies, and procedures essential for governance. From identifying common technical controls to recommending tailored measures based on compliance policies, you'll navigate the intricacies of data protection regulations such as GDPR and PCI DSS. You'll also delve into the significance of protecting health data and the key provisions of regulations such as HIPAA and PIPEDA. Finally, you'll learn the proactive approach toward effectively implementing and monitoring security regulations. Learning objectives. After completing this module, you should be able to differentiate between standards, policies, and procedures. Select technical controls for a given scenario. Distinguish between types of software licenses. Differentiate between types of regulated data. Identify common data security regulations and their requirements. Compare the key provisions of different health data security regulations. Apply health data protection regulations such as HIPAA, PIPEDA, and PDPA to scenarios. Design measures to comply with security regulations. Apply best practices to monitor and maintain security compliance. About this lesson, security policies, standards, and regulations. In today's digital landscape, data security is like safeguarding treasure within the walls of a castle. Just as ancient kingdoms relied on strong governance to protect their riches, modern enterprises depend on robust security governance. Imagine security policies, standards, and procedures as the castle walls, each layer fortified to repel potential breaches. But what good are walls without vigilant guards? That's where technical controls come into play, acting as vigilant soldiers who enforce every policy and procedure. Software licenses are like the keys to the castle, whether it's open source, commercial, personal, or enterprise licenses, each unlocks different access rights and responsibilities within the digital realm. Let's explore the importance of these concepts and the IT support technician's role in safeguarding digital assets. This knowledge is essential for ensuring organizations adhere to security measures and optimally use their software solutions. In this lesson, you'll explore the role of security policies, standards, and procedures in organizational integrity and legal compliance. Then, you will learn about implementing different types of technical controls for security. Finally, you will compare different types of software licenses and their impact in various settings. Compliance, policies, and controls. Watch the following video to learn about compliance, policies, and controls. Page 1 of 1. Video transcript. Compliance policies and controls. The more people use the Internet, the more personal data they provide to companies. While this data is valuable to the organization, it is also valuable to cyber criminals, so people expect companies to protect it. Meet Samson, an IT support technician at a large tech company. Every day, Samson encounters sensitive data while troubleshooting employee issues, addressing customer concerns, and maintaining systems. Samson understands the importance of compliance in protecting this data. Compliance is ensuring adherence to laws, regulations, and standards designed to protect sensitive data. This data includes personally identifiable information, or PII, as well as financial and health information. Samson's compliance mission is clear: implement technical controls that ensure the company adheres to the policies and procedures it created. Policies and procedures act as guides for achieving compliance with relevant laws and regulations. To ensure compliance, Samson actively deploys technical safeguards, from setting up firewalls to enforcing strong password policies and encrypting data. These controls implement the company's policies and procedures, providing tangible protection against potential threats. Samson knows that compliance isn't a one-time task. It's an ongoing process. It's about continuously Improving and adapting to evolving regulations and standards. Sampson knows that his compliance efforts are not about checking off requirements. They are about creating and maintaining a secure, resilient infrastructure that can adapt to the evolving security landscape. What do you think? Employability skills. Critical thinking. Think about the relationship between regulatory compliance, company policies, and the day-to-day operations of a business. Can you think of a situation where compliance concerns might influence a business decision? Fundamental concepts of compliance. For IT support technicians, compliance is the foundation upon which all other responsibilities are built. Compliance is the act of adhering to laws, regulations, and standards applicable to an organization. Laws are rules created by legislatures, such as a parliament or Congress. Regulations are rules issued by governmental agencies or regulatory bodies to detail how to apply and follow laws. Compliance threads through every aspect of an IT support technician's work. Compliance standards, policies, and procedures provide the essential framework for ensuring the protection and privacy of data and systems. These frameworks enable technicians to implement best practices for safeguarding sensitive information, detecting vulnerabilities, and responding to security incidents effectively. Most organizations have made it mandatory to comply with these frameworks to avoid major security issues. Understanding compliance standards equips technicians to uphold security protocols, mitigate risks, maintain compliance. This ultimately helps to safeguard the organization and customer data. Just as a hiker wouldn't venture into unknown woods or mountains without the proper gear and knowledge, organizations shouldn't wander into the world of IT security without their own set of tools and guidelines to protect their digital assets and data. To ensure their IT infrastructure remains compliant and secure, organizations implement governance as a part of their overall IT strategy. Governance refers to the standards, policies, procedures, and controls that an organization implements to manage and secure its data and services and to remain compliant. Governance guides how an organization securely adopts and uses services to achieve its business objectives while managing risk and maintaining compliance. Let's now explore the various standards, policies, and procedures essential for organizational compliance. This understanding is critical for an IT support technician to maintain regulatory adherence effectively. Compliance standards, policies, and procedures. IT support technicians need to understand compliance standards, policies, and procedures around data protection and security. They need this knowledge to ensure legal adherence and mitigate risks. It guides them on handling sensitive information securely, implementing encryption protocols, and establishing access controls. It also provides frameworks for incident response protocols that help technicians identify and mitigate security threats. These standards offer best practices for data retention and disposal, ensuring that technicians adhere to ethical data handling practices throughout their workflow. Standards. Most hikers stay on pre-existing trails when venturing to a new area. These well-worn paths, created and maintained by experts, help hikers avoid getting lost or encountering dangerous terrain. In IT security, standards provide a reliable route through the complex and sometimes risky landscape of data protection. Standards offer regulatory frameworks and industry best practices established by leading industry bodies and regulatory agencies. Some standards are also legal obligations that organizations must adhere to as part of their compliance efforts. Standards refer to a set of established guidelines, regulations, or specifications designed to ensure the security of information technologies, systems, and practices. Standards provide a common framework that organizations can follow to protect their digital assets, data, and infrastructure from cyber threats and vulnerabilities. Organizations use standards as a guide to implement robust security measures, ensure compliance, and maintain data integrity and privacy. IT technicians should be aware of the specific standards that affect their organizations as well as common standards that apply to most organizations. ISO/IEC 27001 The International Organization for Standardization and the International Electrotechnical Commission jointly developed ISO/IEC 27001. It is a widely recognized international standard for information security management. It provides a framework for establishing, implementing, maintaining, and continually improving an information security management system, ISMS, within the context of an organization's overall business risks. It specifies requirements for assessing and treating information security risks tailored to the needs of the organization. IT support technicians adhering to ISO/IEC 27001 help organizations secure their information in all forms, including digital, paper-based, and cloud-based. It encompasses aspects such as risk management, employee security awareness, and IT governance. NIST Cybersecurity Framework, CSF. The National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, Cybersecurity Framework, CSF, offers guidelines, standards, and best practices for managing cybersecurity-related risks. It is designed for U.S. governmental agencies, but its principles are also broadly applicable to private sector organizations in the USA. The CSF provides a policy framework of computer security guidance for how private sector organizations can assess and improve their ability to prevent, detect, and respond to cyber attacks. IT support technicians can use it to manage and mitigate cybersecurity risks in a systematic and cost-effective way. Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, PCI DSS. The Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, PCI DSS, is a set of global data security standards for companies that accept, process, store, or transmit credit card information. It protects customer data during processing, storage, and transit. IT support technicians ensure compliance with PCI DSS to protect against card fraud and data breaches. It includes requirements for the following: security management, policies, procedures, network architecture, software design, other critical protective measures. It also includes policies and procedures for storing credit card information on the cloud. These include encrypting credit card numbers, role-based access control for strict access to credit card information, and regular audits and monitoring. General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR. The General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, is a European Union, EU, law on data protection and privacy in the EU and the European Economic Area, EEA. It also addresses the transfer of personal data outside the EU and EEA areas. IT support technicians need to comply with GDPR when operating within or dealing with citizens of the European Union. It mandates strict handling and processing of personal data, giving individuals more control and rights over their personal data. Non-compliance can lead to hefty fines and reputational damage. Standards are important because they provide industry standard best practices and frameworks, ensuring consistency and compliance across various aspects of technology management. It's important to note that while some standards offer optional frameworks for organizations, others are mandatory regulations requiring implementation. Adopting voluntary standards can enhance competitiveness, streamline processes, and increase customer trust. However, compliance with regulatory standards is not optional. Failure to adhere to these standards can result in severe penalties, including fines or the risk of closure. Organizations use standards to develop comprehensive IT policies aligning with regulatory requirements and operational objectives. Policies. A compass is a hiker's constant guide, always helping to orient in any situation. Policies function similarly, they are the guiding principles that direct employees toward correct and consistent actions. Organizations design policies to protect data and applications hosted on premises and in the cloud against unauthorized access, breaches, and other security threats. Data protection policies. Data protection policies are guidelines on how an organization handles, stores, and transmits sensitive or confidential data. These policies include specifications on data encryption, data residency, and data retention policies. Data residency refers to the physical or geographical location where an organization stores its data. Data retention refers to how long an organization keeps data. Data retention policies include the duration to store different types of data before deleting it. User access, authentication, and authorization policies. These policies define who can access resources, under what conditions, and with what level of access. They include the use of identity and access management (IAM) systems to ensure that only authorized personnel can access data and applications. They include procedures for verifying the identity of users accessing cloud services and ensuring they are authorized to perform specific actions. Incident response policies. These are policies for responding to security incidents, including breach detection, investigation, mitigation strategies, reporting mechanisms. In addition to these protocols, a comprehensive incident response plan often includes the following: preparation measures, such as regular employee training, post-incident activities, such as reviewing the response to improve future readiness, compliance requirement policies. These are policies to ensure that IT services and usage comply with relevant laws, regulations, and industry standards. These might include GDPR for data privacy, HIPAA for healthcare information, or PCI DSS for payment card data. A hand grasps stacked blocks labeled laws, regulations, and standards next to a box labeled compliance. Policies help guide the use of IT resources in an organization. Using industry standards and well-defined policies, organizations can develop comprehensive procedures that ensure streamlined operations, regulatory compliance, and enhanced security. Procedures. A detailed map is indispensable for a hiker, showing the terrain, routes, and important landmarks. Similarly, procedures offer a detailed guide on implementing policies and complying with standards. Procedures are the specific, step-by-step instructions or actions that organizations take to implement and enforce IT security policies. They detail how organizations put policies into practice, ensuring that employees follow the guidelines set out in the policies consistently and effectively. Procedures are like detailed maps, guiding the implementation of policies by translating high-level guidelines into tangible, actionable tasks. Audit procedures. These procedures ensure ongoing compliance with legal, regulatory, and policy requirements. They include regular audits, reviews, and updates to security measures in line with changing regulations and threats. Internal IT teams might conduct in-house audits to check adherence to regulatory standards and corporate policies and report their findings to senior personnel. However, some companies prefer to hire external auditors for a more impartial viewpoint. For example, an audit procedure might include conducting annual security audits and preparing regular reports detailing compliance with standards such as GDPR or HIPAA. User education procedures. These procedures educate and update staff about cloud security best practices, potential threats, and their role in maintaining IT security. They might include regular training sessions, updates on new threats, and security drills. For example, a user education procedure might include mandatory security training for new hires and annual refresher courses for all employees. Security update procedures. These procedures ensure that organizations regularly update and patch all software, applications, and systems to protect against vulnerabilities, threats, and exploits. For example, a security update procedure might specify that the IT team reviews and applies the latest security patches released by the CRM software provider every second Tuesday of the month. Data backup and recovery plan procedures. These procedures detail the predefined plans for data backup and for the data recovery process to be implemented in response to a security incident. They include the frequency and retention periods for data backups and the restore processes for data recovery. For example, a data backup and recovery procedure might outline the steps to take immediately after detecting a data breach. Importance of compliance with security regulations. When preparing to climb a mountain, Hikers follow safety protocols to meticulously check safety gear and study the path ahead to minimize the risks on their climb. Similarly, IT support technicians must comply with security regulations to minimize the risks to their organization and protect digital assets and customer information. Neglecting these security measures can lead to data breaches and legal issues. Therefore, adhering to security regulations is an essential measure for risk mitigation and trust preservation in business. Protect sensitive information. Adherence to security regulations helps to protect sensitive data. It can prevent data breaches and identity theft, which can have devastating consequences for individuals and organizations. Maintain trust. Compliance is key to maintaining the trust of clients, partners, and stakeholders. It demonstrates a commitment to data protection and ethical practices. This trust is fundamental for building and maintaining strong business relationships and can significantly impact an organization's reputation and credibility. Avoid legal and financial consequences. Non-compliance can lead to legal repercussions, including fines, sanctions, and lawsuits. By complying with security regulations, organizations can avoid costly penalties and the associated financial burdens they bring. Manage risk. Security regulations often mandate risk assessments and the implementation of robust security measures. This proactive approach helps identify vulnerabilities, mitigate risks, and ensure operational continuity, even in the face of security threats. Gain competitive advantage. Compliance can be a differentiator in a marketplace where data security is highly valued. Customers often view compliant organizations as more reliable and secure, which can be a competitive advantage in attracting and retaining customers. Access global business opportunities. Compliance with international security standards enables organizations to operate across borders more easily. This global compliance is essential for expanding business reach and accessing new markets in an increasingly interconnected world. Compliance with security regulations is not merely a legal obligation. It is a fundamental aspect of modern business strategy. Understanding and supporting the implementation of security regulations is essential for any IT support technician. Implementing technical controls for compliance. Companies implement technical controls to comply with security policies and regulations. Technical controls, also known as IT controls, are processes and measures that an organization implements within their hardware and software. They protect the integrity, confidentiality, and availability of data and information systems. These controls prevent, detect, and respond to threats and vulnerabilities in a technical environment. Different controls serve different purposes, such as preventing, detecting, or deterring security incidents. IT support technicians might have a variety of responsibilities when it comes to technical controls. These responsibilities can range from setting up technical controls to monitoring and enforcing policies and procedures to using tools to assist with regular audits and compliance checks. Let's explore how Hamish, an IT support technician, implements technical controls. Introduction. A man working in an office. Hamish is a skilled IT support technician working at a growing educational technology company. He is implementing new technical controls to meet the requirements of the company's new security policy. He needs to enhance the security of the company's systems and protect sensitive customer data stored in the cloud. Step 1. Understanding policy requirements. Hamish begins by thoroughly reviewing the new security policy. He notes key aspects of the new policy, such as secure cloud data storage, access controls, and active breach detection for applications. He meets with the legal and compliance teams to clarify certain details, ensuring he fully understands the policy's goals and specific requirements. He then translates the policy requirements into the following technical requirements. Encryption of all sensitive data, both at rest and in transit, using industry-standard encryption protocols. Storage of multiple copies of data in different geographical locations for disaster recovery and business continuity. Multi-factor authentication, MFA, for all users accessing cloud services. Continuous monitoring of the cloud environment for unusual activities that can indicate a security breach. Step 2. Analyzing policy objectives. Next, Hamish assesses the current infrastructure against the policy's objectives. He identifies technical controls already in place and policy requirements that require new controls. Hamish identifies the following existing technical controls: cloud-based storage services that automatically replicate data across different data centers for disaster recovery and business continuity. Intrusion detection and prevention systems that continuously monitor the cloud environment for unusual activities. Hamish identifies the following requirements for new controls: encryption software for encrypting all sensitive data using industry-standard encryption protocols. Identity and access management (IAM) software to enable MFA for all users accessing cloud services. Step 3. Selecting appropriate tools and methods. Knowing what controls are needed, Hamish researches various security solutions, focusing on encryption software and IAM tools that will integrate with the company's cloud platforms. He selects an advanced encryption solution for data protection and a comprehensive IAM tool for managing user access. Step 4. Executing technical implementation. Hamish starts implementing the controls, beginning with the encryption software. He ensures that the software is encrypting the data both in transit and at rest using industry-standard encryption protocols. He then sets up the new IAM system, which includes setting up MFA and configuring user roles and access privileges. Throughout this process, he conducts tests to confirm that everything functions as intended. Step 5. Monitoring and management. Finally, Hamish establishes a continuous monitoring and auditing routine to ensure ongoing compliance with the security policy. He documents the entire process, recording all changes made. He also organizes training sessions for the IT team and cloud users to familiarize them with the new security protocols. Summary. Hamish successfully implements technical controls for security by thoroughly understanding policy requirements, identifying existing controls, and addressing gaps using software tools. What do you think? Employability skills. Growth mindset. Which step in implementing the technical controls process are you most interested in exploring? What interests you about this step? Evaluate your thinking. Does your answer account for the following? Understanding policy requirements. Are you detail-oriented? Can you identify key information from documents and conversations? Do you enjoy synthesizing diverse pieces of information to create a broad understanding? This phase requires a careful approach to ensure you address all aspects of the policy correctly in the technical controls. Analyzing policy objectives. Are you skilled at evaluating existing processes or systems to identify areas for improvement? Do you enjoy the challenge of bridging the gap between what is and what should be? This step requires a blend of analytical and evaluative skills because it involves both understanding the existing system and identifying gaps that you need to fill. Selecting appropriate tools and methods. Does research interest you? Do you like comparing different tools? Do you weigh various factors before making decisions? Do you enjoy staying informed about new technologies or solutions and assessing their potential application? This step is about finding the perfect balance between security needs, budget constraints, and user convenience. Executing technical implementation. Are you comfortable with hands-on tasks and following complex procedures accurately and efficiently? Are you good at troubleshooting and solving problems as they arise during the execution of a plan? This step is important because it involves the actual deployment of security measures. It requires a keen eye for detail and a methodical approach to ensure that everything is set up correctly and works as intended. Monitoring and management. Do you possess strong organizational skills and a proactive mindset toward maintaining and improving systems or processes over time? Are you attentive in observing changes or anomalies that might indicate a need for action? This step requires a proactive approach and a commitment to continuous improvement and learning. Now that you've learned the process that IT support technicians use to implement technical controls, let's explore the types of technical controls that they can implement for different types of policies. Types of technical controls for policies. Implementing technical controls is an important part of an IT support technician's role. An IT support technician might implement different types of controls to ensure employees follow corporate policies. Select each tab to learn about types of technical controls to implement for different policies. Data protection policies. Encryption and data storage policies require data at rest and in transit to be encrypted and stored in compliance with data residency policies. To ensure compliance with data protection policies, an IT support technician might install encryption software to secure data on servers and in communication channels. Configure encryption software to use robust encryption standards. Set up data storage systems that align with geographical data residency requirements, such as storing EU customer data within the EU. Organizations might also have data retention and archiving policies that dictate specific durations for storing different types of data. To ensure compliance with data retention and archiving policies, an IT support technician might establish data retention schedules in the company's data management system. They might program it to automatically archive data after its use-by date and delete it when its retention period expires, as per the policy for each data type. User access authentication and authorization policies. User IAM policies mandate controlled access to cloud resources, robust authentication, and appropriate authorization for each user. To ensure compliance with user IAM policies, an IT support technician might deploy an IAM system to manage user access to cloud resources. Implement MFA as part of the authentication process. Manage user identities by creating user accounts, assigning roles, and ensuring users can only access necessary resources. Incident response policies. Incident response policies mandate active breach detection and comprehensive incident management. To ensure compliance with incident response policies, an IT support technician might set up and maintain breach detection systems. Configure breach detection systems to match the organization's risk profile and set specific alert thresholds. Actively monitor for security incidents and keep detailed logs of all detected incidents and anomalies. Compliance requirement policies. Compliance policies require adherence to legal and regulatory standards such as GDPR, HIPAA, or PCI DSS. To ensure compliance with compliance requirement policies, an IT support technician might conduct periodic reviews and updates of systems and practices to ensure they align with compliance standards such as GDPR, HIPAA, or PCI DSS. Adjust security protocols and data handling processes to match evolving legal and regulatory guidelines. You've just learned about some common types of technical controls that IT support technicians can implement to ensure that employees effectively follow policies. Now, let's explore some common types of controls that IT support technicians might implement for specific types of procedures. Types of technical controls for procedures. IT support technicians implement technical controls for procedures to ensure compliance with regulations. However, doing so can also reduce the time and effort needed to perform routine security tasks and provide consistent and reliable execution of procedures. Select each tab to learn about types of technical controls to implement for different procedures. Audit procedures. Audit procedures include regular audits, reviews, and updates to security measures in line with changing regulations and threats. To assist with audit procedures, IT support technicians might implement or use auditing tools to perform regular security audits and compliance checks against standards. Update configurations on security tools such as encryption software, IAM tools, security information and management systems based on audit findings or evolving regulations. User education procedures. User education procedures include educating and updating staff about security best practices, awareness of potential threats, and their role in maintaining security. To assist with user education procedures, IT support technicians might Collaborate with the organization's HR or learning department to provide input and information for creating training materials on security best practices. Assist in implementing, updating, and troubleshooting learning management systems, LMS, that deliver cloud security training modules. Provide technical support to staff members who encounter issues or challenges while accessing or using training resources. Assist in developing user-friendly guides, tutorials, or FAQs to help staff navigate security tools and practices effectively. Security update procedures. Security update procedures ensure regular updating and patching of all software, applications, and systems within a cloud environment. This protects against vulnerabilities, threats, and exploits. To assist with security updates, IT support technicians might be involved in the following tasks. Schedule and perform regular software and system updates, including security patches and firmware upgrades. Conduct vulnerability assessments and penetration testing to identify and address potential weaknesses. Implement and maintain intrusion detection and prevention systems to monitor and block unauthorized access attempts. Data backup and recovery plan procedures. Data backup and recovery procedures involve backing up data and responding to security incidents. To assist with data backup and recovery procedures, IT support technicians might set up and configure automated data backup solutions to ensure regular and consistent backups. Conduct regular data recovery drills and tests to validate the effectiveness of backup systems. Implement data encryption and secure storage practices for backup media and repositories. Participate in incident response planning and assist in data restoration during security incidents. IT support technicians might be responsible for implementing some of these types of technical controls for policies and procedures. They might need to implement controls as part of a broader compliance initiative or address specific security vulnerabilities in an organization's IT infrastructure. In either case, IT support technicians help effectively integrate technical controls into the existing systems, ensuring they function seamlessly to enhance overall security and operational efficiency. Activity: recommend technical controls for a given scenario based on compliance policies. Employability skills: attention to detail, critical thinking, analytical thinking. You're starting a new role at Nimbu Securitas as an IT support technician helping to support the cyber team. In this activity, you'll team up with Jane, an experienced IT support technician familiar with implementing technical controls. A recent internal audit has led the compliance team to update existing cloud security policies and procedures to meet the evolving threats in the cloud computing landscape. As your first assignment, your new manager asks you and Jane to recommend appropriate technical controls that align with the updated cloud security policies and procedures. With Jane's guidance, you'll use your knowledge of technical controls to design an implementation plan by reading through the updated policies and procedures and answering questions. A woman holding a pen and working on a laptop. Jane asks you to review the first policy document and make a recommendation. Select the section to review the updated Data Residency Policy. Data Residency Policy. Version 4.5. 1. Purpose. This data residency policy aims to ensure that Nimbu Securitas complies with legal and regulatory requirements related to the location and movement of data and to manage risks associated with data storage and transfer across borders. 2. Scope. This policy applies to all data held, processed, or managed by Nimbu Securitas, including data stored or processed by third-party service providers on behalf of Nimbu Securitas. 3. Definitions. Data residency: the physical or geographical location where data is stored. Sensitive data: data that, if disclosed, can cause harm to individuals or the organization, including personal data, financial data, and confidential business information. 4. Policy statements. 4.1 Data storage. All sensitive data must be stored in the United States unless defined by local data protection and privacy laws. All EU customer data must be stored in the EU. 4.2 Security controls. All data in transit and rest must adhere to robust encryption standards, such as EASE, advanced encryption standard, with a minimum key length of 256 bits. 5. Policy review and update. This policy will be reviewed annually or as required by changes in law or business practices. Any updates will be communicated promptly to all relevant stakeholders. Before you make your first recommendation, Jane describes the existing organizational data protection controls. The organization has already installed encryption software that is currently configured to use the default key length of 128 bits. The organization has also established data retention schedules in the data management system. Jane tells you there are no other controls in place. Nimbu Securities has also implemented a new incident response policy. Jane asks you to review this policy and make recommendations. Select the section to review the new incident response policy. Incident response policy. Version 1.0. 1. Purpose. This incident response policy aims to provide a well-defined, organized approach for handling any potential security incidents to minimize their impact on the organization. 2. Scope. This policy applies to all employees, contractors, and third-party partners dealing with the organization's information systems and data. 3. Definitions. Security incident, any event that can potentially affect the confidentiality, integrity, or availability of organizational data or systems. 4. Policy. 4.1 Preparation. Maintain up-to-date incident response plans. Conduct regular training and awareness programs for all relevant staff. 4.2 Identification. Security incidents must be reported as soon as they are detected. Detection mechanisms must be established and customized to reflect the risk profile and should be updated biannually. All employees are responsible for reporting any suspected security incidents immediately. 4.3 Containment and eradication. Short-term containment measures should be implemented immediately, followed by long-term measures, if necessary. The root cause of the incident should be identified within 24-72 hours, depending on the level of breach. 4.4 Recovery and analysis. Restore systems and data to normal operation and monitor systems for any signs of recurrence. Review and analyze the incident to determine lessons learned, updating the incident response plan based on the analysis. 6. Reporting. All incidents must be documented and reported to relevant stakeholders, including management and, if necessary, external authorities. 7. Review and update. This policy should be reviewed and updated annually or after significant changes in the environment. Given that this is a new policy, Jane informs you that there are no relevant existing technical controls. Finally, given the updated data protection policy and new incident response policy, Nimbu Securities has updated its data backup and recovery procedures. Jane asks you to review the updated procedures and make recommendations for any technical controls to implement. Select the section to review the data backup and recovery procedures. Data backup and recovery procedure. Document version 3.0. 1. Purpose. This procedure aims to ensure that all critical data of Nimbu Securities is regularly backed up and can be recovered in the event of data loss, corruption, or a disaster. 2. Procedure. 2.1 Backup procedure. Data identification. Critical data requiring backup includes financial records, customer data, employee information, and essential operational data. Backup schedule. Critical data should be backed up daily, while less critical data can be backed up weekly or monthly. Backup methods. On-site backup. Store backups on physical devices located within Nimbu Securities. Off-site backup. Store backups using cloud-based services, ensuring data safety in case of physical disaster at Nimbu Securities. Backup execution. Automated backups. Automate backups as per the defined schedule. 2.2 Recovery procedure. 2.2.1 In the event of data loss, quickly identify the scope and impact of the incident. 2.2.2 Notify the IT department or responsible personnel to initiate the recovery process. 2.2.3 For minor data loss, retrieve data from the most recent backup. In case of a major incident, follow the disaster recovery plan, which might involve more extensive restoration efforts. 2.2.4 After data restoration, validate the recovered data to ensure completeness and integrity. 2.2.5 Conduct a post-recovery review to identify the causes of data loss and measures to prevent similar incidents in the future. 3. Maintenance and testing. Regularly test the backup and recovery process to ensure its effectiveness. Update the procedure as technology and organizational needs evolve. 4. Documentation and record keeping. Maintain logs of all backups and recovery actions. Document any issues encountered during backup and recovery and the steps taken to resolve them. Conclusion. You and Jane send an email to your manager with a checklist of your recommendations. Data residency policy controls. Configure encryption software to use more robust encryption standards. Align data storage systems with geographical data residency requirements. Incident response policy controls. Set up a breach detection system. Configure breach detection system and set specific alert thresholds. Data backup procedure control. Configure an automation solution to ensure regular and consistent backups. Great job! You have a great plan in place now to implement technical controls to enforce the new and updated policies and procedures. Software licensing. Another important component of compliance is software licensing. Organizations have software policies, procedures, and technical controls that help IT support technicians and employees manage software assets. Software policies dictate the standards of procuring software, usage, and management. Organizations have procedures for managing software licenses, acquiring software, installing software, and renewing software. Organizations implement technical controls to enforce policies and execute procedures. These might include inventory management systems and auditing tools to verify compliance with software licenses and policies. A software license is a legal document between the software creator and the user that governs the use and distribution of software. It outlines the terms under which the user can use, modify, and share the software. Software licenses establish clear rules and boundaries for how the software can be used and how it can be copied and made available to others. Without these licenses, there would be uncertainty about who can use the software, how they can use it, and what rights the original creators retain. Suppose you spend some time learning how to grow vegetables, herbs, and flowers and become talented at growing them. You then decide to make a living selling your produce. You start with a small garden selling to neighbors and friends, then expand your garden and sell to local grocery stores and restaurants. You've used your gardening skills to create a business and earn money. Now imagine you join a community garden where everyone in the community is free to pick any produce from the garden whenever they like. In exchange, each person agrees to tend to the garden by picking weeds, adding new features such as fences and walking paths, or planting new seeds to make the garden better for everyone. The garden is a way for you to help provide fresh produce to people in the community. Like gardeners, developers create and use software in various ways and for different ends. The two main types of software are commercial and open source. Commercial software is like the first example of growing and selling your own produce. Open source software is like the second example of supporting a community garden. Distinct licenses govern each type of software. Commercial licenses. Commercial, or proprietary, software refers to computer programs that a specific company or individual owns and controls. These programs are usually developed by a team of software engineers and protected by intellectual property laws. This protection means that their source code is kept confidential and is not publicly available. Companies that create commercial software usually sell licenses to use their software to individuals or other companies. The licenses might have specific terms and conditions that dictate how the purchaser can use, modify, or distribute the software. These terms often require users to pay for the use of the software and might limit the number of devices or users that can access the software. Open source licenses. Open source software is computer software that developers create and distribute under a special type of license that enables users to freely access, modify, and distribute the software's source code. This license means that anyone can view and change the software's underlying code, provided they comply with the terms of the license. Unlike proprietary software, open source software developers often work collaboratively as a community of programmers and developers who share their work and contribute to each other's projects. Open source software is often available for free, although some open source projects might ask for donations or have other ways to support their development. What do you think? Employability skills. Critical thinking. The gardening examples compare how two types of gardens, a private garden and a community garden, can serve different purposes. Commercial and open source software can also serve different needs depending on the situation. Can you think of a reason a company would use open source software from a regulatory perspective? Evaluate your thinking. Does your answer account for the following? Does your idea consider the following aspects of open source software? It is free to use. This is important because organizations often have regulatory requirements that require software to work in a specific way or generate output in a specific format. For example, a company might have a regulatory requirement to process customer transactions in a specific way. Free, open source software that meets the requirement ensures that budgetary constraints do not impact a company's ability to maintain regulatory compliance. The company can customize existing code for their specific needs. Regulatory requirements can vary greatly by industry and by location. Companies can modify open source software to align with the specific data handling, security, or reporting standards that their regulatory body requires. This adaptability also helps companies to respond promptly to changes in regulations, because they can modify the code without waiting for the vendor to release an update or having to purchase additional modules or new versions of proprietary software. Open source software also enables companies to tailor their compliance processes in a manner that proprietary software might not allow. Comparing types of software licenses. Understanding the benefits and limitations of various software licenses is important for IT support technicians due to their impact in the following areas. Compliance. It's important to recognize the legal implications of each license type to avoid fines and legal issues, ensuring software use aligns with license agreements. Software management. Familiarity with license specifics helps IT support technicians to efficiently deploy and use software. Support. Knowledge of the support and maintenance differences between licenses is necessary for IT support technicians to provide effective IT support and maintain system security and functionality. License support ranges from comprehensive support for commercial licenses to community-based support for open source licenses. There are different types of licenses that have different benefits and limitations. Let's explore each license type in more detail. Commercial licenses. Commercial licenses offer clarity and straightforward terms on software usage, providing companies with security and support. Commercial licenses offer the following features. Support and updates. Commercial licenses usually include ongoing support and regular updates. However, this can be costly, with one license often covering only one user or device. Usage consistency. Commercial licenses provide standardized terms for usage across organizations, but they might restrict any modification or redistribution of the software. Integration. Commercial licenses often ensure compatibility with a wide range of software, for example, a suite of Office products. However, this can lock users into specific ecosystems or vendor solutions. Legal clarity. Commercial licenses offer clear legal protection for the developers and users, but can impose stringent conditions on the use, sharing, and modification of code. Open source licenses. Organizations are increasingly turning to the open source community for software that can be freely licensed and modified. Some teams use open source software exclusively and modify it to fit their needs. Open source licenses offer the following features. License flexibility. Open source licenses often enable review, modification, and redistribution of code, but might include complex or restrictive clauses that affect usage. Access and collaboration. Open source licenses encourage collaborative development and innovation, but integration with proprietary software can be complex. Cost implications. Open source licenses are generally free, which reduces financial barriers for users. However, lack of direct revenue often affects long-term support. Transparency in use. Open source licenses offer clear and open terms for usage and modification, but diverse licensing models can complicate compliance. Personal licenses. Personal software licenses are designed for individual users. Unlike licenses designed for organizational use, personal licenses usually permit use on only one or a few devices. They're less restrictive than commercial licenses, making them suitable for personal projects, education, or small-scale professional tasks. They also provide essential legal usage rights without the complexities or expenses of broader licenses. Personal licenses offer the following features. Cost efficiency. Personal licenses are generally more affordable than commercial licenses, with simpler pricing structures. User accessibility. Personal licenses are easier for individual users to understand and manage. However, they lack the flexibility and organizational scalability of commercial licenses. Legal simplicity. Personal licenses generally contain straightforward legal terms that are suitable for non-commercial use. However, they do restrict commercial use and distribution. Work-to-home use. Personal licenses support personal projects and non-commercial activities at home. However, they are not suitable for some professional or organizational tasks. Enterprise licenses. Enterprise software licenses cater to large organizations by offering extensive coverage for numerous users and devices. Unlike personal licenses, they are designed for broad organizational use, providing flexible terms for multiple installations, network use, and wide geographic access. Enterprise licenses support commercial activities and ensure security compliance. They also enable integration with other enterprise systems, making them ideal for businesses needing comprehensive software solutions across various departments and teams. Enterprise licenses offer the following features. Scalability. Enterprise licenses are suitable for many users and complex organizational structures. However, this flexibility generally comes at a price and more complex licensing agreements. Legal coverage. Enterprise licenses include comprehensive legal permissions for organization use, including commercial activities. However, they require careful management to ensure compliance across an organization. Support for professional use. Enterprise licenses facilitate wide-scale professional and commercial use within an organization. However, they might be too extensive, complex, and costly for small teams or individual users. Work-to-home use. Enterprise licenses often include provisions for employee use at home for work-related purposes. However, this might require strict management of usage policies and additional home use licensing terms. Summary and looking ahead. In this lesson, you learned about the fundamentals of compliance, including governance, policies, and procedures. You also learned about technical controls that help to ensure compliance and how to implement them. Finally, you learned about different types of software licenses. In the next lesson, you'll learn about regulated data, such as personal information and health data. You'll also discover how regulations such as GDPR and PCI DSS protect that data. About this lesson, managing regulated data. Do you know about the Equifax data breach that happened in 2017, exposing the personal information of approximately 147 million Americans? Hackers gained access to sensitive data, including names, social security numbers, birth dates, addresses, and, in some cases, driver's license numbers. Equifax faced significant legal consequences and reputation damage, including investigations by regulatory authorities and multiple lawsuits from affected consumers, shareholders, and financial institutions. To prevent data breaches such as the Equifax breach, IT support technicians need to know how to handle regulated data such as personally identifiable information, PII. They also need to know how to comply with data protection regulations and implement robust cybersecurity measures to prevent cyber attacks and safeguard sensitive information. In this lesson, you'll explore the essentials of managing regulated data. You'll learn to identify and handle personally identifiable information, PII, and protected health information, PHI. You'll also learn data protection regulations such as GDPR and PCI DSS. The importance of managing regulated data. When you deposit money into a bank, you trust that the bank will protect your money from unauthorized users. Part of this trust is that many government regulations exist to dictate how banks must operate to secure your money. These regulations require banks to implement robust security measures, such as vaults, secure transport services, and detailed account tracking. Even bank tellers play a part in keeping your deposits safe. Similarly, individuals expect companies and organizations to keep safe the sensitive information that they share with them. Some of this information is regulated, which means it falls under specific legal frameworks designed to ensure its protection. Regulated information includes personally identifiable information, PII, protected health information, PHI, and other sensitive data that, if disclosed improperly, can lead to privacy breaches and identity theft. Organizations handling regulated data must implement security measures, such as data encryption, access controls, and comprehensive monitoring and logging. Regulations such as the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, in the European Union and the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA, in the United States dictate these requirements and require companies adhere to high privacy and security standards. This trust in organizations to protect sensitive data, backed by strict regulatory requirements, is important for maintaining individuals' privacy and security in the digital age. Just as bank tellers play a key role in safeguarding your financial deposits, IT support technicians play an important role in safeguarding your personal data. To understand the different regulations, IT support technicians need to be able to identify different types of regulated data. Let's begin by exploring personally identifiable information, PII. Personally identifiable information, PII. It's important that IT support technicians protect personally identifiable information, PII, to ensure the confidentiality and privacy of individuals' data. Technicians might frequently encounter PII, for example, when assisting employees with troubleshooting issues, engaging with customers, or even collaborating with vendors. Personally identifiable information, PII, refers to any data that someone can use to identify a specific individual. PII includes a wide range of information types and is a key concept in data protection and privacy. It includes obvious identifiers such as a person's name, address, and national ID number, such as a social security number in the USA, an Aadhaar number in India, or a national insurance number in the UK. These identifiers can uniquely identify a person. It also includes data that, when combined, can uniquely identify a person. For example, birth date, place of birth, employment history, or physical characteristics. Examples of PII. The following examples describe the types of PII data that IT support technicians need to be aware of. Direct identifiers. Direct identifiers are unique and specific details that can directly identify an individual. They include identification number, a national identification number, such as a social security number, SSN, in the USA, an Aadhaar number in India, or a national insurance, NI, number in the UK. Name and address, a person's full name and home address. Email address, a unique digital identifier, such as jane.doe@example.com. Phone number, a personal phone number that directly links to an individual. Driver's license number, a unique identifier issued by government authorities that allows a person to legally drive. Passport number, another government-issued identifier that is unique to an individual. Financial information, credit card numbers or bank account details. Biometric data, such as fingerprints or facial recognition data. Indirect identifiers. Indirect identifiers are pieces of information that, while not capable of identifying a person, can lead to identification when combined with other data. Indirect identifiers include date and place of birth. In combination with other data, these facts can identify an individual. Employment information, job titles and workplace details. Educational information, school records or transcripts. Health information, medical records or health insurance details. Browsing history, web activities that can potentially identify someone. Activity, identify PII. Employability skills. Attention to detail, analytical thinking. You are an IT support technician at a growing e-commerce company. The organization is responding to a data breach, and you are supporting the incident response efforts. Your role is to review the data that was compromised in the breach. You must identify what is considered personally identifiable information, PII, and what is not. This is an important task for ensuring the company's compliance with data protection regulations. Well done! You have correctly identified PII data. You have demonstrated your ability to identify the subtle differences in information and correctly identify PII. Protected Health Information, PHI. Protected Health Information, PHI, is another important type of regulated data. It encompasses a wide range of sensitive information concerning an individual's medical history, treatment, and health records. With the increasing digitization of healthcare records, prioritizing the safeguarding of PII is a key responsibility for both technology and healthcare professionals. 3 healthcare professionals standing around a smartphone displaying a heart and a check mark with a document, stethoscope, pill bottle, medical shelf, and pills in the background. Healthcare professionals and organizations must be able to identify what constitutes PII to ensure the confidentiality and security of patient data. They need this ability to fulfill legal requirements and maintain the trust that patients place in the healthcare system. Proper handling and protection of PII is important, because mishandling or unauthorized disclosure can result in legal repercussions and harm an organization's reputation. Examples of PII. At its core, PII is any individually identifiable health information that a healthcare provider creates, receives, transmits, or maintains. Let's review the key components that constitute PII. Patient identifiers. Name, a patient's full name. Address, both physical and email addresses. Phone numbers, an individual's contact information. Social Security number, an individual's SSN. Medical records. Medical diagnoses, information about a patient's health condition. Treatment records, details about medical procedures and therapies. Prescription information, medications that a patient has been prescribed. Lab results, test results and their interpretations. Imaging studies, X-rays, MRIs, and other diagnostic images. Billing information. Billing records, information related to healthcare services and payments. Health insurance information, details about the patient's insurance policy. Any individually identifiable data collected or stored alongside health data automatically becomes part of the health record and is classed as PII. Review the following fictional health records for U.S. citizens that show how this works. The data in Record 1 and Record 2 includes health information, so all the data in those records is classed as PII data. Record 1. Based on the provided table, here is the information converted into a set of sentences. Asterisk name, Mia Rodriguez, which is classified as yes, identifiable. Asterisk date of birth, May 10, 1992, which is classified as yes, identifiable. Asterisk address, App 2A, 789 Elm Street, which is classified American Samoa yes, identifiable. Asterisk phone number, 555, 555XXXX, which is classified as yes, identifiable. Asterisk social security number, 456-78XXXX, which is classified as yes, highly sensitive. Asterisk medical diagnosis, allergies, which is classified as yes, medical information. Asterisk treatment records, physical therapy sessions, which is classified as yes, medical information. Asterisk lab results, blood pressure readings, which is classified as yes, medical information. Asterisk billing information, credit card details, which is classified as yes, financial information. Asterisk email address, mia.rodriguez@email.com, which is classified as yes, stored alongside health information. Asterisk emergency contact, Sarah Rodriguez, which is classified as yes, stored alongside health information. Record 2. Patient's name, Ahmed Khan, which is classified as yes, identifiable. Date of birth, December 3, 1988, which is classified as yes, identifiable. Address, Suite 5, 567 Maple Avenue, which is classified American Samoa yes, identifiable. Phone number, 555, 555XXXX, which is classified as yes, identifiable. Social Security number, 789-01XXXX, which is classified as yes, identifiable. Medical diagnosis, seasonal allergies, which is classified as yes, medical information. Treatment records, physical therapy sessions, which is classified as yes, medical information. Prescription info, allergy medication details, which is classified as yes, medical information. Lab results, blood test results, which is classified as yes, medical information. Billing information, PayPal account details, which is classified as yes, financial information. Sex, male, which is classified as no, demographic info. Occupation, software engineer, which is classified as no, employment info. Now, review the data in Record 3. If this data was collected by an e-commerce or banking institution, it would be classed as PII. However, the first row, titled Patient's Name, suggests that it was collected as part of a healthcare treatment. So for this record, the data is classed as FI. Record 3. Patient's name, Justin Smith. Date of birth, July 3, 2001. Address, App 24, Lionsgate South. Phone number, 555, 555XXXX. Social Security number, 289-01XXXX. Billing information, credit card details. Principles of Data Protection Regulations. Data protection regulations serve as guidelines and legal requirements to ensure the safe handling of data, especially in areas where personal information is involved. There are 4 key principles that guide the development, implementation, and enforcement of data protection regulations. These principles set the standard for organizations' data handling practices. Select each marker, plus, on the following graphic to learn more about the principles of data regulations. Data transparency. Regulations aim to enhance transparency in the handling of data. Organizations should disclose their data handling practices clearly. This transparency empowers individuals by giving them a better understanding of how organizations use their data and what rights they have regarding their personal information. For example, regulations might require companies to notify individuals how they will store and process their information. Privacy. One primary principle of data protection regulation is to safeguard individuals' privacy. With the vast amount of personal information collected by businesses and organizations, the regulations are intended to ensure that such entities do not misuse data. For example, regulations might describe how data is collected, stored, and shared, ensuring it is not disclosed without consent. Accountability. In the context of businesses and organizations, data protection regulations establish accountability. Companies must take responsibility for the data they handle. This includes taking steps to protect the systems that collect and store data from breaches. It also requires them to respond quickly and appropriately if a breach occurs. For example, regulations might require companies to have written contracts with partner organizations that process personal information for the company. Data integrity. Data integrity in the context of data collection and storage means ensuring that the collected data is accurate and used responsibly. Data protection regulations help prevent data manipulation and unauthorized access, maintaining the trustworthiness of the information. For example, regulations might give individuals the right to check the data companies hold and correct any inaccuracies. For organizations, data protection regulations are legal requirements that protect individual privacy and enable trust between individuals and organizations through data integrity, enhanced transparency, and accountability. Data protection regulations also impact the day-to-day responsibilities of IT support technicians. Technicians must understand the regulations that apply in their locale to ensure that an organization's data handling practices comply. For example, PCI DSS is a global standard that applies to companies worldwide that process payment card information, whereas GDPR applies in countries in the European Economic Area. However, the United Kingdom has its own implementation of GDPR known as the UK Data Protection Act, UKDPA 2018, and the Lei Geral de Proteção de Dados, LGPD, in Brazil is largely equivalent to GDPR. Some key responsibilities of IT support technicians and how they ensure compliance include the following. Implementing access controls and permissions while enforcing data protection policies to ensure sensitive information is accessible only to authorized personnel. Setting up new hardware and disposing of old hardware with a focus on data privacy to ensure no personal or sensitive data is compromised. Setting up networks, firewalls, and encryption to safeguard data integrity and confidentiality. Participating in incident response teams and mitigating data breaches or leaks to protect the organization against potential threats and vulnerabilities. In a world where data is constantly exchanged, IT support technicians must understand and adhere to the regulations applicable in their geographical area as a legal necessity and as part of responsible data management. Let's look at some examples of established data protection regulations to review typical requirements that technicians might need to adhere to. General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR. The General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, is a comprehensive framework designed to protect individuals' privacy and personal data in the European Union, EU, and European Economic Area, EEA. It not only imposes obligations on organizations, but also grants significant rights to individuals concerning their personal data. The following illustration shows individuals' rights related to handling their personal data. 7 people, each with a call-out showing one of the rights granted by GDPR. The rights listed are, the right of access, the right to rectify, the right to erasure, the right to restrict processing, the right to data portability, the right to object, the rights related to automated decision-making including profiling. Based on GDPR, individuals have 7 rights. The right of access to their data. The right to rectify inaccuracies. The right to erasure. The right to restrict processing. The right to data portability. The right to object to processing. The rights related to automated decision-making including profiling. Awareness of these rights is particularly important for IT support technicians because they often handle personal data. They must ensure they respect an individual's rights throughout the data life cycle, from collection to disposal. This approach includes responding promptly to requests from individuals exercising their rights, implementing technical measures to facilitate data portability, adhering to procedures for securely erasing or rectifying personal data as required. By effectively managing individuals' rights under GDPR, IT support technicians contribute to building trust with clients, mitigating legal risks, and upholding the principles of data protection and privacy. Rights under GDPR. Here are the 7 data rights that individuals have under GDPR with corresponding examples to help you understand them. Right of access. Individuals have the right of access to their personal data held by organizations. Consider the following example. An employee, Sarah, exercises her right of access by requesting access to her personal data held by a company. Upon Sarah's request, the company's data protection officer, DPO, initiates a process to gather all data related to Sarah. They include her employment records, performance evaluations, and any electronic data such as email exchanges. The company's DPO provides a comprehensive report containing all of Sarah's personal data in a clear and accessible format within the stipulated time frame set by GDPR. This process not only fulfills Sarah's request but also demonstrates the company's adherence to GDPR regulations and its commitment to transparency and respect for employee data privacy. Right to rectify. This right enables individuals to have their inaccurate personal data corrected or incomplete data completed. Consider the following example. An employee, Aisha, notices inaccuracies in her personal data held by her employer. Aisha's employment records have her date of birth incorrect and some of her academic qualifications are missing. Aisha exercises her right to rectification by formally requesting the company correct this information. The company's Human Resources Department promptly addresses her request by updating Aisha's date of birth and adding the missing academic qualifications to their records. This action not only corrects the data inaccuracies but also reflects the company's commitment to data accuracy and respect for individual rights under GDPR. Right to erasure, also called as the right to be forgotten. Individuals can request the deletion of their personal data when it's no longer necessary for the purpose it was collected. Consider the following example. Jamal, a former client of a marketing agency, requests the agency to delete his personal data. He had previously engaged with the agency for a promotional campaign, but decides that he no longer wants the agency to keep or use his information. Jamal exercises his right to erasure, also known as the right to be forgotten. He asks the agency to remove his contact details, campaign preferences, and any other personal data from their records. The agency complies with this request, ensuring that they permanently delete all data related to Jamal, including backups and archives. This compliance not only adheres to GDPR regulations, but also respects Jamal's privacy and his right to control his personal data. Right to restrict processing. Under certain conditions, individuals can request that their data's processing be restricted. This right means that the organization can store the data but not use it. Consider the following example. A customer, Raj, requests that the bank restrict the processing of his financial data. Raj is resolving a financial dispute with the bank and wants to ensure that the bank does not alter or use his account information during the dispute resolution. Exercising his right to restrict processing, Raj asks the bank to limit the processing of his account data temporarily. The bank complies with his request, ensuring that they do not use his account until the dispute is resolved. The bank shows its commitment to GDPR compliance by respecting Raj's request and his right to control the processing of his personal financial information. Right to data portability. This right enables individuals to obtain and reuse their personal data across different services. They can transfer their data from one IT environment to another safely and securely. Consider the following example. A customer, Lisa, decides to switch her healthcare provider. Lisa requests her current healthcare provider provide her with a copy of her medical records, including treatment history, test results, and prescription information. She asks for them in a format that she can easily transfer to her new provider. By exercising her right to data portability, Lisa ensures that her health data can seamlessly move with her to her new healthcare provider. This enhances the continuity and quality of her healthcare. This scenario showcases how GDPR empowers individuals to access and manage their personal data for their benefit, even in critical areas such as healthcare. Right to object. Individuals have the right to object to the processing of their personal data for direct marketing. They can also request that their data not be used for other purposes, such as scientific research, historical research, or statistical calculation. However, if organizations can justify the processing, they may be able to continue. Consider the following example. A customer, Jian, receives unsolicited marketing emails from an e-commerce website. Jian, who had provided his email for order notifications, decides he no longer wishes to receive promotional emails. Jian exercises his right to object by clicking on the unsubscribe link in the email, signaling his objection to further marketing communication. The e-commerce company promptly honors his request and ensures that Jian no longer receives marketing emails. This scenario highlights how GDPR empowers individuals to object to processing their data for specific purposes, such as marketing, putting them in control of their online experience. Rights related to automated decision-making including profiling. Individuals have the right not to be subjected to a decision solely based on automated processing, including profiling, which produces legal effects concerning them or significantly affects them. Consider the following example. A customer, Artie, applies for a loan through a digital lending platform. Artie's application is subject to automated decision-making and profiling, where algorithms analyze her financial history and credit score to determine her eligibility for the loan. Artie receives an automated decision declining her loan application, and she believes it was unfairly based on the automated profiling. Artie exercises her rights by reaching out to the lending platform and requesting a manual review of her application to ensure it isn't solely based on automated algorithms. The lending platform complies with her request, demonstrating its commitment to transparency and the individual's right to challenge decisions made solely by automated processes under GDPR. This scenario highlights how GDPR empowers individuals to object to automated decisions made using their data, and allows them to request manual reviews of those decisions. By differentiating between these types of rights, organizations can better understand their responsibilities under GDPR. This understanding not only ensures legal compliance, but also demonstrates a commitment to respecting and protecting individual privacy rights. Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, PCI DSS. The Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, PCI DSS, is a global framework to protect payment card data. It aims to mitigate potential vulnerabilities in financial card payment transactions, from the point of sales terminals through to cardholder data storage. The text PCI DSS displaying above a hand holding a locked padlock and another hand holding a credit card. The Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, PCI DSS, is a set of security standards designed to ensure that all companies that accept, process, store, or transmit credit card information maintain a secure environment. PCI DSS is important for organizations because compliance ensures the secure handling of payment card data, reducing the risk of data breaches and financial fraud. Adherence to the standards helps to maintain customer trust and loyalty by demonstrating a commitment to protecting sensitive financial information. Non-compliance can result in hefty fines and legal consequences to the organization. These reasons make it essential for IT support technicians to understand and implement PCI DSS requirements diligently. Requirements of PCI DSS. PCI DSS offers a structured framework for evaluating and improving data security measures, assisting IT support teams in deploying strong security controls and practices. To achieve PCI DSS compliance, IT support technicians need to ensure the following key requirements for their organizations. 1. Install and maintain a firewall configuration. IT support technicians need to use firewalls for their organizations to protect cardholder data from unauthorized external access. 2. Change vendor-supplied default passwords and other security parameters. Vendor-supplied default passwords and settings in devices such as laptops are often well known and pose a security risk. IT support technicians need to change them in all new devices and turn them into secure, unique configurations. 3. Protect stored cardholder data. IT support technicians need to encrypt and securely protect all types of cardholder information stored in their organization. 4. Encrypt transmission of cardholder data across open, public networks. When cardholder data is transmitted over networks such as the Internet, IT support technicians need to encrypt the data to keep it secure in the case of interception. 5. Use and regularly update antivirus software. IT support technicians need to deploy antivirus software on all systems in their organization, especially those that are commonly affected by malware and those that store, process, or transmit cardholder data. 6. Develop and maintain secure systems and applications. IT support technicians must take necessary steps to protect systems and applications in their organization from known vulnerabilities. 7. Restrict access to cardholder data by business need to know. IT support technicians need to design access rights in such a way that cardholder data is accessible only to those individuals whose job requires access to that data. 8. Identify and authenticate access to system components. IT support technicians need to assign a unique ID to each person with computer access. This process helps to track and monitor who accesses cardholder data. 9. Restrict physical access to cardholder data. IT support technicians need to prevent unauthorized access by controlling and limiting physical access to systems that contain cardholder data. 10. Track and monitor all access to network resources and cardholder data. IT support technicians need to regularly monitor networks and data access for early detection and prevention of breaches. 11. Test security systems and processes regularly. IT support technicians need to frequently test the systems in their organization to ensure that the security measures and controls are effective against potential attacks. 12. Maintain a policy that addresses information security. IT support technicians need to establish strong security policies for their organizations and ensure that they communicate these policies to all employees. By meeting these requirements, organizations not only comply with the PCI DSS, but also significantly enhance their overall security posture by protecting both their interests and those of their customers. Compliance with PCI DSS is not just about avoiding penalties, but also about building trust and ensuring the safe handling of sensitive cardholder information. Other important data security regulations. In addition to PCI DSS and GDPR, IT support technicians also need to be aware of other local security regulations and legislation that dictate how organizations should protect sensitive data and information systems. Federal Information Security Management Act, FISMA. Federal Information Security Management Act, FISMA, is a U.S. federal law that requires government agencies to create and implement an information security program. The key requirements of FISMA include risk assessments, security policies, training, incident response, annual reviews. To meet the requirements of FISMA, an IT support technician at a federal agency might strengthen its information system. They introduce robust encryption for sensitive data and implement strict access controls. They set up continuous monitoring tools and a comprehensive incident response plan. They conduct regular security assessments to identify and mitigate risks. They also ensure that all staff receive training on security best practices and maintain detailed documentation of all security policies and procedures. Sarbanes-Oxley Act, SOX. The Sarbanes-Oxley Act, SOX, is a U.S. federal law that deals with the accuracy and reliability of corporate disclosures, including financial data. The key requirements of SOX include internal control assessments, corporate governance, disclosure controls, fraud prevention. An IT support technician at a corporation might work to ensure SOX compliance in their financial reporting systems. They implement internal controls to safeguard financial data accuracy and integrity. They set up secure data storage and transmission protocols, along with access restrictions to financial systems. They conduct regular audits to monitor and verify compliance with established controls. They also play a key role in training staff in how to handle financial information and documenting all compliance-related processes and activities. California Consumer Privacy Act, CCPA. The California Consumer Privacy Act, CCPA, is a California state law that boosts privacy rights and consumer protection for Californians. The key requirements of CCPA include explaining data collection methods, rights to access and delete personal information, opt-out options for data sale. The CCPA opt-out option is a key feature of this regulation. An IT support technician at a California-based company might update their customer data systems for CCPA compliance. They implement features enabling customers to view, delete, or opt out of their data being sold. They ensure clear consent mechanisms for data collection and establish secure processes for handling customer information. They set up systems to respond promptly to customer data requests and maintain transparency in data collection and usage practices. They also conduct regular training for staff on CCPA requirements and customer data rights to ensure ongoing compliance. Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, HIPAA. The Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, HIPAA, is a U.S. federal law that protects the online privacy of children under the age of 13. The key requirements of HIPAA include parental consent for collecting children's data, careful data handling, clear privacy notices. A support technician at a children's online service might ensure HIPAA compliance by integrating age verification mechanisms to identify users under 13. They implement parental consent procedures for collecting children's data and set up secure systems to protect this information. The technician ensures that the privacy policy is clear and easily accessible, detailing data collection and usage practices. They also create features enabling parents to review and delete their children's information and regularly train staff on HIPAA regulations and child data protection best practices. These common security regulations are essential for data protection and cybersecurity in various sectors. IT support technicians should know about these regulations to help their organizations comply and stay secure. Summary and looking ahead. In this lesson, you learned the importance of data regulations and identified confidential information such as PII and PHI. You also learned the requirements of GDPR, PCI DSS, and other key data security regulations that organizations need to comply with. The next lesson covers health data protection policies, including the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA, in the USA, the Personal Information Protection and Electronic Documents Act, PIPEDA, in Canada, and the Personal Data Protection Act, PDPA, in Singapore. About this lesson, health data privacy. In 2015, Anthem Incorporated, one of the largest health insurance companies in the United States, fell victim to one of the most significant data breaches in history. Malicious actors infiltrated the Anthem computer systems, compromising the personal information of nearly 80 million individuals, about twice the population of California. The data accessed included names, dates of birth, social security numbers, and medical IDs. Not long after the breach, many of the affected individuals found suspicious activity on their bank accounts. Someone had used their information to make unauthorized purchases and open lines of credit in their names, plunging them into a financial nightmare. IT support technicians need to understand the impact of such data breaches on individuals' lives. They also need to be aware of the stringent regulations put in place to safeguard sensitive health information, such as the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA, in the USA, the Personal Information Protection and Electronic Documents Act, PIPEDA, in Canada, and the Personal Data Protection Act, PDPA, in Singapore. In this lesson, you'll investigate health data privacy. You'll learn about key regulations, such as HIPAA, PIPEDA, and PDPA, and discover their provisions for safeguarding sensitive health information. You'll also review scenarios that illustrate the impact of these regulations to equip you with the skills to handle health data responsibly in a professional context. How health data privacy works. Health data privacy is a key aspect of the healthcare industry, serving as the bedrock of patient trust and safety. Health data includes any information related to a person's physical or mental health, healthcare services they receive, and payments for healthcare services. This data is sensitive and personal, making its protection paramount. The importance of protecting health data. Protecting health data is not only an ethical and legal requirement, but also essential for fostering trust in the businesses entrusted with this information. Robust data protection measures are important to safeguard individuals from potential harm caused by malicious actors who want to exploit their data. Trust. Trust is the cornerstone of the patient-provider relationship. Ensuring the privacy of health data fosters trust, encouraging patients to seek care and be open about their health issues. Preventing identity theft and fraud. Health data contains personal information that, if exposed, can lead to identity theft and fraud. Protecting this data safeguards individuals from such risks. Complying with legal standards. Laws such as HIPAA, PIPEDA, and PDPA set standards for health data privacy. Compliance is not only a legal obligation but also a moral one. Supporting ethical healthcare practices. Ethical healthcare involves respecting patient autonomy and confidentiality. Safeguarding health data is a direct reflection of these ethical principles. What do you think? Employability skills. Critical thinking. How might a breach of health data privacy impact the relationship between a patient and their healthcare provider? Evaluate your thinking. Does your answer account for the following? Expand for more thoughts. A breach of health data privacy can severely strain the trust between a patient and their healthcare provider. A patient might feel violated, vulnerable, and hesitant to share sensitive information, leading to a breakdown in communication and hindering medical care. Regulations such as HIPAA, PIPEDA, and PDPA are important because they establish standards for protecting patient confidentiality. They ensure secure handling of personal health information and hold organizations accountable for any breaches. Compliance with these regulations fosters patient confidence, maintains the integrity of the healthcare system, and safeguards individual privacy rights. Now that you have learned the critical importance of health data protection, let's review 3 example health data protection regulations: HIPAA, PIPEDA, and PDPA. When IT support technicians are supporting colleagues working with health data, they must be aware of, understand, and adhere to any health data protection regulations applicable in their geographical area. Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA, in the United States. The Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, commonly known as HIPAA, was enacted by the United States Congress in 1996. It represents a significant milestone in healthcare data protection. HIPAA has been instrumental in shaping the way that companies manage, share, and protect personal health information, PHI. Select each section to learn about the rules of HIPAA. Privacy Rule. The Privacy Rule is central to HIPAA. It sets standards for safeguarding individuals' medical records and other personal health information. It restricts the use and disclosure of PHI without patient consent, except in specific circumstances such as treatment, payment, or healthcare operations. It also gives patients rights over their health information, including the right to obtain a copy of their health records and request corrections. Security Rule. The Security Rule complements the Privacy Rule, but focuses specifically on electronic PHI, EPHI. It requires appropriate administrative, physical, and technical safeguards to ensure the confidentiality, integrity, and security of EPHI. Businesses must perform risk assessments and implement measures to mitigate vulnerabilities in their health information systems. Enforcement Rule. This rule outlines the procedures for investigations into non-compliance and the penalties for violations of HIPAA rules. It also establishes the process for handling complaints against entities that fail to comply with HIPAA regulations. Breach Notification Rule. In case portability provisions of a breach involving unsecured PHI, this rule requires businesses to notify affected individuals, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, and, in some cases, the media. Businesses must send notifications without unreasonable delay and include the following information in the notification: details of the breach, types of information involved, steps individuals should take, Measures the business is taking to investigate and mitigate the breach. Omnibus Rule. The Omnibus Rule, enacted in 2013, expands the reach of HIPAA to include business associates of covered entities. It also increases penalties for non-compliance based on the level of negligence. HIPAA is a comprehensive framework that not only guards the privacy and security of health information, but also addresses the practical aspects of health insurance coverage. Its evolving nature continues to address the challenges posed by technological advancements in healthcare. IT support technicians often play a role in setting up and maintaining HIPAA-compliant systems. They need to ensure that their secure IT systems meet the requirements of the privacy and security rules. Now that you have learned HIPAA, let's explore the Personal Information Protection in Electronic Documents Act, PIPEDA. Personal Information Protection in Electronic Documents Act, PIPEDA, in Canada. The Personal Information Protection in Electronic Documents Act, PIPEDA, is a Canadian federal law enacted in April 2000. PIPEDA governs how private sector organizations collect, use, and disclose personal information during commercial business. IT support technicians working in those organizations are likely to be involved in implementing steps to ensure compliance. The key provisions of PIPEDA ensure that patient data is secure, accurate, and available to the patient on demand. Select each section to learn about the provisions of PIPEDA. Data consent. This portion of the Act provides directives on how organizations must obtain explicit consent for collecting, using, or disclosing health data, ensuring patients are fully aware of the implications. Data collection, use, disclosure, and retention. The collection of health information must be directly related to the care or treatment of the individual and can only be used or disclosed for the purposes consented to by the individual, or as required by law. Organizations should retain health data only as long as necessary to deliver healthcare services or as mandated by healthcare regulations. They must also ensure they dispose of the data securely after it has fulfilled its purpose. Data accuracy. Organizations must maintain accurate health records to ensure effective and safe healthcare delivery. Records must be complete and up to date. Data protection. Given the sensitive nature of health information, organizations must implement robust security measures to prevent unauthorized access, loss, or disclosure of an individual's health data. Openness and transparency in usage. Policies related to the handling of health data must be readily available and patients must be able to understand them. This portion of the Act fosters transparency. Data access. Individuals have the right to access their health data and to request corrections to make sure their health records are accurate. Accountability in usage. Organizations are fully accountable for the health data in their possession, even when third parties are processing that data. They also are responsible for compliance with PIPEDA principles and the security of the data. Procedures to challenge compliance. Individuals have the right to challenge an organization's handling of their health information, with clear procedures in place for lodging complaints and obtaining recourse. PIPEDA sets a benchmark for the respectful treatment of personal information, including health data, within Canada's private sector. It highlights the importance of informed consent, the protection of sensitive health information, and the accountability of organizations in managing this data. It aligns with the ethical and legal expectations of handling health-related personal information. Provincial law and PIPEDA. PIPEDA is the federal law that sets the standards for the protection of personal information in the private sector across all provinces and territories in Canada. However, some provinces have enacted their own privacy legislation specifically for the health sector, called provincial privacy laws. What are provincial privacy laws? Provincial privacy laws are tailored to address the collection, use, and disclosure of PI within healthcare settings more directly and comprehensively than PIPEDA. How do provincial laws work? When a province enacts its own privacy legislation that meets or exceeds the principles outlined in PIPEDA, the federal government can declare the provincial legislation to be substantially similar to PIPEDA and allow the provincial law to apply instead of PIPEDA. What is the impact on organizations? Organizations covered by provincial legislation are generally exempt from PIPEDA in terms of activities covered by provincial law. The rationale is to avoid excessive regulatory burden and to allow provinces the flexibility to address the unique aspects of managing health information within their jurisdictions. What are examples of provincial laws? Examples of provincial privacy laws that the federal government deems substantially similar to PIPEDA include the Health Information Act, HIPAA, in Alberta, the Personal Health Information Protection Act, FIPA, in Ontario, the Personal Information Protection Act, PIPEDA, in British Columbia. These laws specifically focus on health sector information practices and offer a detailed framework for managing personal health information. The framework reflects the importance of health data privacy and security within those provinces. What do you think? Employability skills. Critical thinking. How does the PIPEDA regulation in Canada compare with the HIPAA regulation in the United States? Evaluate your thinking. Does your answer account for the following? Both regulations protect individual choice and have provisions to protect health data from misuse. While PIPEDA is clear about the responsibility of the organization collecting and storing data, HIPAA requires regular assessments to ensure the appropriate handling of health data. Now that you have learned about PIPEDA, let's move on to Singapore's Personal Data Protection Act, PDPA. Personal Data Protection Act, PDPA, in Singapore. The Personal Data Protection Act, PDPA, of Singapore, enacted in 2012, establishes a critical legal framework for protecting personal data in the private sector. It places specific importance on sensitive data such as health information. The following list summarizes the key aspects of PDPA that ensure the confidentiality and integrity of health data. Consent obligation. PDPA mandates obtaining explicit consent before any collection, use, or disclosure of any sensitive health information. Patient consent must be informed and freely given. Purpose limitation. Collecting health data is strictly limited to defined, reasonable goals directly relevant to individuals' care and treatment. This information must be communicated clearly at the point of data collection. Notification obligation. Organizations must inform individuals about how they will use health data in the context of medical care, billing, and healthcare operations. Accuracy obligation. Organizations must ensure that health data is accurate and complete due to its critical role in treatment and diagnosis. Access and correction. Individuals have the right to access and request corrections to their health data, ensuring accuracy for better healthcare delivery. Protection obligation. Recognizing the sensitivity of health information, PDPA requires stringent security measures to safeguard health data against unauthorized access and breaches. Retention limitation. Health data should not be kept longer than necessary for legal, treatment, and billing purposes. This reflects the need for careful handling of such information. Transfer limitation. When transferring health data outside of Singapore, organizations must ensure the data is afforded a comparable level of protection. This is essential to maintain patient confidentiality across borders. Data breach notification. Organizations must promptly report any significant health data breaches to the affected individuals and the Personal Data Protection Commission, PDPC, in Singapore. This recognizes the potentially severe impact of a breach on an individual's privacy and well-being. Accountability. Organizations dealing with health data must appoint a data protection officer, conduct regular health data protection audits, and uphold stringent internal policies to comply with PDPA. IT technicians need to understand and implement the PDPA provisions for health data. They align with global data protection trends and underscore the importance of securely managing and protecting health information. Now, let's identify some of the common elements of the health data protection policies that you've learned about. Common elements of health data protection policies. HIPAA in the USA, PIPEDA in Canada, and PDPA in Singapore share several common elements. Although they differ in ways that support the needs of their country, areas where they overlap demonstrate the importance and relevance of protecting health data. What do you think? Employability skills. Analytical thinking. What do you think are the common elements of health data protection policies? Evaluate your thinking. Does your answer account for the following? Consent and individual rights. All three acts emphasize the importance of obtaining informed consent from individuals before collecting, using, or disclosing their personal information. They grant individuals rights over their data, including the right to access, correct inaccuracies, and, in some cases, the right to request the deletion of their information. These rights ensure that individuals have control over their personal data and are informed about its use. Data protection and security measures. HIPAA, PIPEDA, and PDPA all require organizations to implement appropriate safeguards to protect health data from unauthorized access, use, disclosure, alteration, and destruction. These measures should be proportional to the sensitivity of the data, ensuring the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of personal information, especially when it concerns health information. Purpose limitation and use disclosure. These regulations stipulate that organizations can only use or disclose personal information for the purposes for which they collected the information, unless they obtain explicit consent for additional uses or it is required by law. This principle limits the scope of data use and ensures that organizations do not misuse or exploit personal information beyond the original intent of collection. Accountability and compliance. Organizations are held accountable for complying with these acts, necessitating the development of internal policies, procedures, and practices for managing personal information responsibly. This principle includes appointing data protection officers, conducting regular audits, and ensuring that third-party service providers or business associates adhere to the same standards of data protection. Breach notification. HIPAA, PIPEDA, and PDPA include requirements for notifying individuals and, in some cases, regulatory bodies in the event of a data breach that poses a risk to the individual. The notification must be timely and include information about the nature of the breach, the data involved, and steps individuals can take to protect themselves from potential harm. Data retention and disposal. These acts enforce the principle that organizations should only retain personal data to fulfill the purposes for which it was collected. They also require secure disposal methods to prevent unauthorized access to personal information when it is no longer needed. While each act, HIPAA in the United States, PIPEDA in Canada, and PDPA in Singapore, has unique aspects and jurisdictional focus, they share common principles to protect personal data in the healthcare sector. These principles ensure that health data is handled carefully, respecting individuals' privacy and rights, while setting standards for organizations to securely and responsibly manage and protect health information. You have taken a deep dive into health data protection regulations. It's now time to check out the role of IT support technicians in health data privacy. Role of IT support technicians in health data privacy. IT support technicians play an important role in helping organizations comply with health data regulations such as HIPAA, PIPEDA, and PDPA. From implementing encryption technologies to managing access controls, they help maintain the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of sensitive data. They contribute to regulatory compliance and data security in the following ways. Implementing data encryption. IT support technicians deploy encryption technologies to protect sensitive data, including electronic protected health information, EPHI, for HIPAA, personal information for PIPEDA, and personal data for PDPA. Monitoring and auditing systems. IT support technicians continuously monitor IT systems for any security incidents, unauthorized access attempts or breaches, and perform regular audits to ensure compliance with HIPAA, PIPEDA, and PDPA requirements. Managing access control. IT support technicians implement robust access control mechanisms, such as role-based access control and multi-factor authentication, to restrict access to sensitive data in accordance with HIPAA, PIPEDA, and PDPA guidelines. Ensuring data privacy. IT support technicians implement measures to ensure the privacy of personal information, including pseudonymization and anonymization techniques for PIPEDA and PDPA compliance and access controls for EPHI under HIPAA. Conducting risk assessments. IT support technicians perform regular risk assessments to identify potential threats and vulnerabilities to sensitive data and implement measures to mitigate these risks in compliance with HIPAA, PIPEDA, and PDPA requirements. Implementing security policies. IT support technicians develop and enforce IT security policies and procedures in line with HIPAA, PIPEDA, and PDPA regulations, including data retention policies, data breach response protocols, and incident reporting procedures. Securing mobile devices. IT support technicians implement security measures for mobile devices used to access sensitive data, such as mobile device management, MDM, solutions, encryption, and remote wipe capabilities, to ensure compliance with HIPAA, PIPEDA, and PDPA. Apply health data protection policies. Understanding the specific provisions outlined in a policy is important, but IT support technicians also need to know how to apply these provisions to real-world situations. It requires insight and reflection to recognize which policy is relevant to a given scenario. Review the following scenario and consider how the IT support technician applies the policy provisions to protect users' health data. Introduction. A man typing on a desktop computer. Michael, an IT support technician at a global healthcare organization, is responsible for implementing data protection policies in new health management software. He must consider all general data protection principles so he can be sure to accommodate regulations in various parts of the world. The new software will need to handle sensitive health data from various regions securely, requiring a comprehensive approach to data protection. Let's review Michael's approach to implementing policies to protect this health data. Step 1. Informed consent and user control. Michael configures the software to require explicit user consent before collecting or processing health data and includes clear explanations of how the organization will use the data. This ensures that users have control over their data, aligning with global data protection standards. Step 2. Data minimization and purpose specification. Michael ensures the software collects only the data it needs for its specified purposes. This ensures limited and purpose-driven data collection to reduce the risk of misuse of sensitive data. Step 3. Robust security measures. Michael integrates advanced encryption and multi-factor authentication and configures regular security updates. This enhances protection against unauthorized access and breaches. Step 4. Regular risk assessment and compliance auditing. Michael schedules automated system audits to identify and address vulnerabilities to enable continuous improvement of data protection and compliance. Step 5. Accuracy and data integrity. Michael adds features for users to review and update their personal health information. This ensures data accuracy for reliable healthcare decisions. Step 6. Data breach response plan. Michael develops a protocol for immediate action in case of a security breach. He includes notifying all relevant regulatory authorities and the individuals whose data has been breached. A quick response to a breach minimizes its impact and maintains trust between the organization and its customers. Step 7. Cross-border data transfer safeguards. Michael confirms compliance of data transfer mechanisms with international standards to ensure secure and lawful data transfers across international borders. Step 8. Training and policy communication. Michael organizes regular staff training sessions on the importance of data protection and adds information to the organization's new hire starter packs. A well-informed team helps maintain data protection standards. Michael's focus on these principles ensures the new software is compliant with global data protection standards. He safeguards patient data and establishes the organization as an ethical data manager. Best practices in health data privacy. Privacy professionals have spent many years refining practices that can help keep people's health data safe. Many of these practices involve regular, Careful attention to data handling and making sure those involved in collecting, using, and storing health data are up to date on how best to handle health data. Implement strong security measures. This practice includes using encryption, secure networks, and access controls to protect data from unauthorized access. Conduct regular training. Healthcare providers should undergo regular training to stay updated on the best practices and legal requirements for data privacy. Conduct regular audits. Conducting regular audits helps organizations identify and address any potential vulnerabilities in data security. Protecting health data is not just a regulatory requirement, it's a moral and ethical obligation that healthcare providers owe to their patients. By ensuring the confidentiality and security of health data, a healthcare system becomes safe, trustworthy, and respectful of patient rights. Activity: applying health data protection policies. Employability skills. Critical thinking. In this activity, you'll review 3 scenarios that a mobile health app development organization encounters. Then, you'll make conclusions about which health data protection policy that the IT support technician should comply with and why it's important. Scenario 1: Mobile Health App Data Breach. An IT support technician working for a healthcare app development team discovers a vulnerability has led to unauthorized access to a user's file. The technician needs to immediately mitigate the breach and comply with the organization's health data protection policies. Scenario 2: Implementing a new electronic health records system. A hospital is implementing a new electronic health records (EHR) system. Glenn, an IT support technician, must ensure the system's compliance with health data protection laws before it goes live. He is considering how to protect FI from unauthorized access, use, or disclosure while maintaining the system's integrity and availability. Scenario 3: Access request from a patient. A patient contacts a hospital requesting access to their personal health records. To respond to the request, the IT support technician must navigate the hospital's policies and the applicable Health Data Protection Act requirements. The technician's actions need to comply with laws governing patients' rights to access, review, and correct their personal health information. Great job! You demonstrated your understanding of how to apply health data protection policies to a variety of scenarios. Summary and looking ahead. In this lesson, you learned the importance of health data regulation and explored the key provisions of HIPAA, PIPEDA, and PDPA. You also learned the role of IT support technicians in health data privacy and examined how to apply health data regulations. The next lesson discusses supervising security protocols, providing practical strategies for protecting data, and ensuring compliance with regulatory standards. About this lesson: complying with security regulations. Corporations have sensitive data flowing through networks and confidential information exchanged daily. Sometimes a malicious actor can breach an organization's perimeter, exploiting vulnerabilities in the security infrastructure. In the aftermath, it becomes evident that despite having stringent regulations in place, the implementation and monitoring mechanisms fell short. In this lesson, you'll learn about complying with security regulations effectively. You'll gain insights into designing measures for complying with regulations and the importance of regular monitoring. Implementing measures to ensure compliance. Rolling out a strategy to ensure an organization complies with security regulations takes thought and planning. IT support technicians need to design the measures involved, test the design, and then roll out the measures to the teams that need to use them. The following scenario describes how a small team designs the measures that help their company comply with security regulations, describing each step along the way. Introduction. Technigenics Corporation is a small but growing software development company. The company needs to design a comprehensive compliance strategy to align with various security regulations. The IT manager assigns the task to a newly formed cross-functional team led by Sam, an astute IT support technician with a keen understanding of the company's technical landscape. Let's join Sam and his team as they design a compliance strategy for their organization and check out their design activities in each step. Assembling a diverse team. Design activity: identify key personnel to form a multifaceted team that provides the expertise the company needs to ensure the organization can comply with security regulations. Sam, known for his proactive approach, joins Ava, the company's meticulous data protection officer, Liam, the visionary head of the IT department, and Maya, a legal advisor with a deep understanding of technology laws. Their mission is to design and implement a strategy that is both compliant and practical for Technogenics's unique operational environment. A group of people in a circle looking down towards the camera. Understanding the regulations. Design activity. Share insights about different aspects of the applicable regulations to build a shared understanding. The initial phase of their journey involves diving deep into the complexities of the relevant security regulations. Maya provides comprehensive overviews of legal requirements, translating legal jargon into actionable insights. Ava offers her expertise in data protection, outlining how each regulation impacts data management practices. A group of people holding puzzle pieces and putting them together. Evaluating current infrastructure. Design activity. Assess the existing IT infrastructure, identifying potential vulnerabilities and opportunities for enhancement. Sam, with his hands-on experience, assesses the existing IT infrastructure. He reviews the current security measures and whether they meet the required data regulations. He also identifies potential vulnerabilities and opportunities for enhancement. A person in several places around a magnifying glass, examining different documents. Brainstorming and idea generation. Design activity. Engage in brainstorming sessions, encouraging creative thinking about technical and procedural solutions. The team's meetings soon turn into brainstorming sessions, where the floor is open to all forms of ideas and strategies. Sam proposes innovative technical solutions, such as advanced encryption methods and custom access controls tailored to their system's architecture. Ava emphasizes the need for clear data handling procedures that can seamlessly integrate into existing workflows. People standing around a desk with a computer and a light bulb is over the group. Developing a modular approach. Design activity. Segment the strategy into modules, making the task structured and manageable. One of the pivotal moments in their strategy design comes from Liam, who suggests a modular approach to the compliance plan. This approach addresses each regulation individually, but cohesively creates a flexible and scalable strategy. A tree diagram with several nodes and branches. Integrating legal and technical insights. Design activity. Balance legal advice with practical IT capabilities. Maya ensures that each module is legally sound and preemptively addresses potential future legal changes. She works with Sam to align the legal requirements with technical feasibility. A document with a gavel, a computer monitor displaying a checklist with a security shield over it, and a woman looking at a diagram on a large computer screen. Creating a flexible blueprint. Design activity. Draft a detailed, but adaptable, blueprint of the compliance strategy. As the design of the compliance strategy takes shape, the team focuses on creating a blueprint. Because compliance requirements and technical capabilities are likely to change over time, the blueprint needs to be robust and adaptable. A flowchart with decision tree branches. Reviewing the plan. Design activity. Review the strategy, simulate scenarios, and identify weaknesses or areas for improvement. The team reviews the blueprint and strategy. Sam plays an important role in grounding the team's ideas in technical reality, ensuring that each aspect of the strategy is feasible and effective. Ava, with her keen eye for detail, checks that no stone is left unturned in terms of data protection and privacy. They consider a range of scenarios to test the strategy for potential loopholes and weaknesses. A large tablet surrounded by people and displaying a flowchart. Finalizing the strategy. Design activity. Incorporate review feedback into the final strategy, ensuring it is thorough and addresses all risks and regulatory requirements. The team updates their plans and blueprint to ensure a comprehensive, but flexible, compliance strategy tailor-made for Technogenics. Their approach showcases the power of collaborative and creative problem-solving and a deep understanding of the interplay between technology, law, and business operations. Now that you have learned the steps for creating a strategy to ensure compliance, let's move on to monitoring and maintaining security compliance. Best practices for monitoring and maintaining compliance. Creating and applying measures to ensure compliance with security policies is only the start of the compliance journey. Adherence to security policies requires constant attention. Policies change or get updated, employees join and leave a company, and business practices are in continual development. So, compliance needs continual policy monitoring and maintenance. Consider the following processes and best practices that IT support technicians use to ensure their company remains compliant with legal standards, industry regulations, and internal policies. Understand compliance requirements. Technicians need to be familiar with relevant regulations in their locale, such as GDPR, HIPAA, or industry-specific standards. Understanding the scope, objectives, and requirements of these regulations is the first step in compliance. Technicians also need to ensure their actions align with the internal security policies and procedures that reflect the regulations. Perform regular audits and assessments. Technicians should schedule regular audits to ensure compliance. They can use these audits to identify any deviations or gaps in their security practices. They should also perform risk assessments to evaluate the effectiveness of their current security measures and identify areas that need improvement. Monitor systems and networks. Technicians can use tools to monitor systems and networks in real time to detect anomalies or breaches. They can also use log management solutions to track and analyze security events, which are important for identifying trends and potential compliance issues. Develop an incident response plan. Technicians should have a robust incident response plan to address security incidents promptly. They should regularly report compliance status to stakeholders, including any incident reports and remediation actions. Train staff and create awareness. Technicians should conduct ongoing training and awareness programs for staff to ensure they understand compliance requirements and their role in maintaining them. Technicians should promote a culture of security within the organization to support compliance efforts. Review and update policies. Technicians should regularly review and update security policies and procedures to ensure they remain effective and compliant with evolving regulations. They should implement change management processes to handle any updates or modifications in a controlled and compliant manner. Use compliance tools. Technicians can use compliance management tools and software to automate and simplify compliance-related tasks. They should keep thorough documentation of compliance activities, audits, and incident reports. Monitoring for compliance is not a one-time task, but an ongoing process. IT support technicians need to master this process to ensure that organizations not only achieve compliance, but also maintain it in an ever-evolving security landscape. Activity: apply best practices for monitoring and maintaining compliance. MEO, an IT support technician at a tech company, is a recent hire and is keen to make a positive impact. Today, she encounters a new challenge. She receives an urgent notification on her work device flagged as a high priority from the security monitoring system. Opening it, she discovers evidence of a severe data breach. Sensitive customer data has been compromised due to outdated security measures and overlooked software updates in her company. A woman working on a laptop looking at an additional monitor. What do you think? Employability skills. Problem solving, critical thinking. What best practices should MEO apply to handle the data breach and address the security issues to prevent further incidents? Evaluate your thinking. Does your answer account for the following? MEO should take immediate steps to activate the company's incident response plan. This should include notifying affected customers and any regulatory bodies. To prevent further incidents, she should also consider the following. Using monitoring tools to identify anomalies or potential breaches. Running regular audits to identify any deviations or gaps in security practices. Conducting staff training sessions on the importance of compliance. Regularly reviewing security policies and updating them to align with changes in regulatory standards. Career highlight: problem-solving skills for IT support technicians. Career management skills. To be an IT support technician, you need problem-solving skills. But what exactly is problem-solving? Literally, problem-solving is solving a problem. However, when employers say they want applicants who have problem-solving skills, they mean something more than that. Problem-solving is using logic and reason to solve a problem. It involves creative thinking, knowledge, intuition, and experience to develop solutions that best meet the person or organization's needs. Problem-solving skills help in all aspects of your life. They're especially helpful for handling complex or unfamiliar situations, such as troubleshooting an unknown issue. In these scenarios, you must identify patterns, uncover evidence, and draw conclusions to find a suitable solution. How do you develop strong problem-solving skills? It requires practice. It also requires understanding basic principles of logic and reasoning and applying them to real situations at home and work. For example, can you identify potential problems before they arise? Can you formulate goals and objectives and devise an effective plan to achieve them? Can you evaluate choices and make informed decisions? Problem-solving in IT support. Problem-solving helps IT support technicians identify patterns, uncover evidence, and draw conclusions about issues they troubleshoot or systems they maintain. Problem-solving becomes especially useful when combined with attention to detail. For example, to effectively solve networking issues, IT support technicians must be able to recognize subtle clues in the different network layers that lead to a discovery. Problem-solving in IT support requires a blend of practical skills and technical knowledge. Technicians must know how computing systems and networks function, including the nuances of hardware and software interactions. For example, when troubleshooting a complex issue, a technician might isolate different components and uncover the hidden causes of the issue, causes such as malicious activity or software bugs. Technicians must also understand cloud computing and virtualization technologies. This knowledge enables IT support technicians to effectively navigate complex issues, implement effective solutions to restore functionality, and maintain system integrity. What do you think? Employability skills. Critical thinking, creative thinking, written communication. Why is it important for IT support technicians to have problem-solving skills? Evaluate your thinking. Does your answer account for the following? Problem-solving skills help you uncover evidence, identify patterns, and draw conclusions to find a suitable solution. IT support technicians must do all these things while troubleshooting issues and supporting compliance initiatives. Using attention to detail, technicians can notice subtle clues that lead to important discoveries. With sufficient technical knowledge and problem-solving skills, technicians can make informed decisions about effective solutions. Summary and looking ahead. In this lesson, you learned about implementing measures to ensure compliance with security regulations. You also considered best practices for monitoring and maintaining compliance with relevant regulations. You've completed the final lesson of this module. Next, you'll review the module's key points and explore additional resources related to standards, policies, regulations, and ensuring compliance. Points to remember. Key concepts. 1. Compliance is the act of adhering to laws, regulations, and standards applicable to an organization. 2. Compliance frameworks, such as standards, policies, and procedures, enable IT support technicians to implement best practices for safeguarding sensitive information, detecting vulnerabilities, and responding to security incidents effectively. 3. Governance refers to the standards, policies, procedures, and controls that an organization implements to manage and secure its data and services and remain compliant. 4. Common standards include ISO/IEC 270,001, National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, Cybersecurity Framework, CSF, Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, PCI DSS, General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR. 5. Policies are guiding principles that direct employees toward correct actions. Common compliance policies include data protection, user access, incident response, compliance requirements. 6. Procedures are detailed guides on how to implement policies. Common procedures include audit procedures, user education procedures, security updates, data backup and recovery plans. 7. Compliance with security regulations is important to protect sensitive information, maintain trust, avoid legal and financial consequences, manage risk, gain competitive advantage, access global business opportunities. 8. Technical controls, also known as IT controls, are processes and measures that an organization implements within their hardware and software. They protect the integrity, confidentiality, and availability of data and information systems. 9. Types of technical controls for policies include data protection, user access, authentication, and authorization, incident response, compliance requirements. 10. A software license is a legal document between the software creator and the user that governs the use and distribution of software. It outlines the terms under which the software can be used, modified, and shared. Licenses can be commercial, open source, personal, or enterprise. 11. Personally identifiable information, PII, refers to any data that someone can use to identify a specific individual. PII falls into two distinct categories: direct identifiers and indirect identifiers. Direct identifiers are unique and specific details that can directly identify an individual, such as identification number, email address, phone number, passport number. Indirect identifiers are pieces of information that, while not capable of identifying a person, can lead to identification when combined with other data. Examples include date and place of birth, employment information, educational history, health information, web browsing history. 12. Protected health information, PHI, is sensitive data concerning an individual's health. PHI includes patient identifiers, medical records, and billing information. Any PII collected or stored alongside health data is automatically classed as PHI. 13. Principles of data protection regulations include privacy, data integrity, data transparency, accountability. 14. Common data security regulations include General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, PCI DSS, Federal Information Security Management Act, FISMA, Sarbanes-Oxley Act, SOX, California Consumer Privacy Act, CCPA, Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, COPPA. 15. Common health data regulations include Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA, in the USA, Personal Information Protection and Electronic Documents Act, PIPEDA, in Canada, Personal Data Protection Act, PDPA, in Singapore. 16. Common elements of health data protection policies include consent and individual rights, data protection and security measures, purpose limitation and use disclosure, accountability and compliance, breach notification, data retention and disposal. 17. IT support technicians support compliance with health data privacy by implementing data encryption, monitoring and auditing systems, managing access control, ensuring data privacy, conducting risk assessments, implementing security policies, securing mobile devices. 18. Designing a compliance strategy involves the following steps: Assembling a diverse team. Understanding the regulations. Evaluating current infrastructure. Brainstorm and idea generation. Developing a modular approach. Integrating legal and technical insights. Creating a flexible blueprint. Reviewing the plan. Finalizing the strategy. 19. IT support technicians follow best practices for monitoring and maintaining security compliance, including understanding compliance requirements, performing regular audits and assessments, monitoring systems and networks, developing an incident response plan, training staff and creating awareness, reviewing and updating policies, using compliance tools. Big ideas. In addition, you explored or practiced these skills. Employability skills. Analytical thinking. Recommend technical controls for a given scenario based on compliance policies. Identify personally identifiable information, PII. Identify common elements of health data protection policies. Attention to detail. Recommend technical controls for a given scenario based on compliance policies. Identify personally identifiable information, PII. Creative thinking. Consider why it is important for IT support technicians to have problem-solving skills. Critical thinking. Recommend technical controls for a given scenario based on compliance policies. Determine how a breach in health data privacy might impact the relationship between a patient and their healthcare provider. Compare PIPEDA with HIPAA. Consider how organizations comply with health data protection policies. Consider how an IT support technician can handle a data breach and address security issues. Consider why it is important for IT support technicians to have problem-solving skills. Growth mindset. Consider the relationship between regulatory compliance, company policies, and the day-to-day operations of a business. Identify steps in the technical controls implementation process that you are interested in exploring. Written communication. Consider why it is important for IT support technicians to have problem-solving skills. Career management skills. Examine how problem-solving skills help IT support technicians in their role. Learning objectives. Now that you've completed this module, you should be able to differentiate between standards, policies, and procedures. Select technical controls for a given scenario. Distinguish between types of software licenses. Differentiate between types of regulated data. Identify common data security regulations and their requirements. Compare the key provisions of different health data security regulations. Apply health data protection regulations such as HIPAA, PIPEDA, and PDPA to scenarios. Design measures to comply with security regulations. Apply best practices to monitor and maintain security compliance. Explore more resources. To explore concepts covered in this module in more depth, check out these resources. What is data compliance? Opens in a new tab. This article from IBM explains what data compliance involves, its importance, and the various regulations and standards that businesses must adhere to. Adopting technical controls for data privacy in the digital age, opens in a new tab. This ISACA journal article by Muhammad Tariq Ahmed Khan discusses adopting technical controls for data privacy, outlining the importance of organizational measures in protecting personally identifiable information, PII, in the digital landscape. What is personally identifiable information, PII? Opens in a new tab. This article from IBM explains what personally identifiable information, PII, is and highlights its significance, types, and the importance of protecting it.